Right, it's time to hear some more incredible words. So I'm going to get you to introduce yourself, because today I had this realisation that we don't big ourselves up enough, do we, as women? We're constantly sort of feeling guilty, or, I mean, I hope there are exceptions in here, that people just know that they're brilliant, because most women, nearly all, I would say, are pretty fantastical, especially you guys. So we're going to start with you, Charlie. I want you to introduce yourself with like your most glitzy CV big up, so that we can get an insight into your world.
Well, I'm very good at this, so I try and always walk into like a room with like the confidence of like a white, straight, middle-class man.
Okay.
So I've got very good at doing this. Yeah. So hi guys, my name is Charlie Craggs. I'm a trans activist and author. I run a campaign called Nail Transphobia, where I basically travel around the UK and abroad now too. That's something the man would get in and be like, yeah, abroad as well. But so for 5 years now, I've been traveling around my pop-up nail salon, offering the public free manicures for the chance to sit down with a trans person. Just they can ask questions, we can have a chat, I can teach them how to be an ally, just to like humanise the issue a bit more, because most people haven't met a trans person, but we often have a lot of misconceptions about us. And then from that, I did my first book, which came out in November, which is called To My Trans Sisters, and it's a collection of about 100 letters from trailblazing trans women offering advice to girls who are starting their transitions.
Wow.
There you go. That's how you big yourself up. Yeah.
Incredible.
Thank you.
I don't know how I can follow on.
Oh, stop
it. My name's Dinny, and I'm a jewellery designer. And then I went into retail about in 1992. From one shop, I now have 6 shops across London, and we still design and make the jewellery in the original workshops in Notting Hill. And I love what I do. And I hope to carry on until I drop. So I don't really work.
I'm modelling. Yeah, really. We all are. It was quite funny, because I had like some really big, cheap, rubbish like hoops on, and then I got given these, and I was like, oh no, this is much classier. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm a mum, and basically I started. Well, it wasn't I didn't start it to be a company when I started it, but I was just fed up of people. When I had my son 7 years ago, I was a graphic designer before that, and I was just so fed up of meeting mums, and they were just like, I'm like, oh, hi, what do you do? And they're like, oh, I'm just a mum. I'm like, well, you're not just a mum. Being a mum is pretty amazing. And so I started a company called Mothers Meeting, and it was about inspiring, motivating women who happen to be mothers. And I put events on for mums, and women that come along to our events kind of are women that want something a little bit more and want to maintain their own identity once becoming a mum. I started it 6 years ago, and since then we've done over like 500 events. I've written a book, and we run a business academy with my 2 girls over there, Katie and Aisha. And basically so many women have come to our meetings, and they've created their own networks, and there's a huge community of amazing women basically creating things and making things happen whilst raising the future.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to do this with my boobs out, but I'm really sorry, I haven't got a choice. And it is International Women's Day, so it can't get more female than this.
I'm
just on brand. I'm not actually breastfeeding, I'm just doing it for the marketing, you know?
She is.
I was saying earlier to someone that I live by the sea, and in the summer you get like geezers walking around with their tops off. And the first time ever, like this summer, because I was enjoying like being by the sea and living like where I do, and like it was beautiful. And I was like, God, I just want to walk around with my top off. Like, why can't I? Like,
and did you?
No, I didn't. I didn't have to go. Next time though, yeah, you're not going to judge me because I'll get slated. So you guys are my supporters. Yeah. Hello.
Hello. Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm founder of Olivia's Kitchen. My company specialises in creating sweet treats, really indulgent, delicious treats, but with a twist. So they're all free from gluten, dairy and refined sugar. I started the company because I myself was diagnosed with a lot of different food intolerances, not just to gluten and dairy, but actually have a really restricted diet to things like onion and garlic. So it's really difficult to go out for dinner with me. It's not fun at all. And I was doing something completely unrelated before. I was doing neuroscience and thought that I wanted to pursue a career in paediatric neuropsychology, working with children with brain injury. And I took a really big step in deciding actually that those 5 years that I had spent studying that, actually it wasn't for me. I didn't really have thick enough skin, and I find it quite difficult still to say that, but I found it too hard going into hospital day in, day out. I was working at Great Ormond Street Hospital, and I was just too affected by it, and I just couldn't go out for drinks and dinner after those nights, and so I thought there must be something else for me. And at the same time, I was diagnosed with my intolerances, and so it kind of came together, and I had the idea for Olivia's Kitchen, and we're 3 years on now. And my products are stocked in places like Sainsbury's, WH Smith, Boots. We're going into Tesco this year. So we have big things happening, and we're just about to launch our 3rd new product range.
So inspiring, isn't it? Wow. Oh man, I'm gonna, like, this weekend, I'm just gonna be like, ta-da, ta-da! Like, it's all possible. So happy International Women's Day. We've said that it feels really good to celebrate how fantastic women are and how multifaceted we are and how individual we are. You know, there's like so many different individual quirks to us all, and I know that it's not, the one thing that we do share is that it's not always easy, I think, to be a woman. So, you know, in a very sort of candid, truthful way, like what kind of challenges, like when you decided, right, I want to be a businesswoman and not work in neuroscience anymore or work in the hospital, like, then what? Like, what do you suddenly face?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk for like days about the challenges and can bore people to death. But I think the hardest thing that I have found is that I apparently look and sound very young. And so I'll go in for a meeting with a buyer of Sainsbury's, and they're like, "Is anyone else joining you?" I'm like, no, it's just me. They're like, "Do you have a presentation?" I'm like, "No, I can talk about my brand." And so I think a lot of the time as well, because you know, I dress like I dress, and you know, I'm not going to start putting on a suit because that's what makes people take you more seriously. And so I come in sometimes in really casual clothes, and people are sometimes just like, "Is this the real deal?" And so I've found that quite difficult sometimes in making sure that people know that I'm the person behind this, and actually I know everything about the business and they don't need to refer to anyone else. But generally, actually, I have got asked a lot what have been the challenges of being a woman, and actually I'm really happy and proud to say that I think it's worked in my favour a lot of the time. I think that people are celebrating women not just on days like today, but more and more often. And it's becoming more accepted that we're trying to be founders of all these different companies and trying to do our own thing. And I think it's actually worked in my favour. And I don't know if Olivia's Kitchen would be what it is if it was Edward's Kitchen. I don't think it would be as good.
Yeah. Dinny, just sort of in reflection to that, so starting, how many years ago did you start?
1985.
So that's 30, the year I was born.
33 years ago.
No, an amazing
I'm
way.
used to that. I'm used to that. Don't worry.
Listen, right, I'm reclaiming age.
Charlie said something like that.
Brilliant.
Oh, sorry.
No, never a diss. It's never a diss. Like.
So we're not ageist.
But no, but I think I find it really interesting in terms of generationally.
Yeah.
Like what the differences might be and what might be similar.
Well, I suffered huge barriers when I started up. I wasn't taken seriously at all, and I can remember it was okay when it was related to fashion, because I think fashion has always been an industry that's been very open-minded, and women have always been quite powerful within the fashion industry. But when I started morphing the jewellery into jewellery for people to wear, and that's kind of coupled at the same time as when I went into retail. Then I had to face the jewellery industry, which is rampant with sexism, and you know, really appalling. Going on trade shows with men who would then go out with hookers at night, and you'd have to you'd be out for dinner with some of them suppliers, and then they'd be calling over call girls, and you know, and they wouldn't take a second thought about the fact that I was a woman working in amongst them. And I can remember also being young and at some party and being some man coming up, and it was a business party, and he twirled me to look at my arse. sort of spun me around, you know. And the thing is that as time has gone on, I realised I could just go on and on and on about the sexism that I faced, about not being taken seriously by banks and so on. But I think you kind of just brushed it off a lot more then. But it's only now, really, in the past 5 years that I think back and I think, wow, it was pretty challenging. And I think things are a lot better now. But, you know, perhaps you get taken more seriously when you're an older woman. I don't know. You know, and I don't know how many men in suits you've had to deal with.
Not that many, actually. Yeah, a lot of them now have. I mainly actually have dealt with women.
Exactly.
Which is
you know,
really
big
interesting,
in the jewelry industry. They used to have girls. You know the way cars used to be sold with girls draped over the cars. It's not really to buy cars. It's really because the men liked having naked girls draped over cars. And and they did that at jewelry shows as well. They'd have women covered with diamonds. You know, like hundreds of £1,000s worth of diamonds, with practically nothing on, standing around just selling the jewelry. You know. Anyway, it's been challenging, but
it's just it's tough, isn't it, when you can think about that many examples and we can hear that, and it's kind of exasperating. And actually, I went around schools. When I wrote my book, and I spoke to like the future generation, and I do feel like there is a change happening. Like we are in a revolution in terms of gender, and that's very exciting. But I do get asked a lot by, like, particularly like 15-year-old activists, and a lot of them are, like, how to channel the rage, because it's so easy to get like really angry, isn't it? And you know, you've got these really engaged thinkers that are the future generation, and they're just like, I just could row for hours with all the boys in my class, like. And it's, I think it's an interesting journey individually as feminists, if that's what you deem yourself as, which I do, to learn how to channel the rage. I don't know.
It can sort of spur you on, rage, though.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of it. I've got enough. Charlie, again, you are channeling something incredible. It's up to you to decide what it is that, you know, it's not necessarily rage, but you.
Oh, it's rage.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of rage.
Well, that's good to clarify. But like, you are doing something incredible by like bridging a gap and channeling it by speaking to people and opening up a conversation and kind of really facing that head on by
Thank you so much.
you know, like meeting people that may have said something that's really insulting to you, or, you know, I think that's so brave. And like, how did you even get to that position where you feel like, yeah, I'm prepared to do this?
I feel like I didn't have much of a choice. I feel like I had to kind of channel the rage in a positive way because it's very like consuming, and like so when I transitioned, my life got so much harder in ways like unless you transit, you just won't understand. Like just going to the corner shop, using a public bathroom, getting on a tube. It's like a fight constantly, like literally physical fights, but also just like an internal fight. Like it takes a lot of courage and strength and stuff, and I was getting so much abuse, and I was just so like angry at the world, and I felt like everyone hated me, and I was like rather than like, I was very suicidal, if I'm honest, and I was like, rather than like being negative, I want to try and draw some positive from it, because I think that's the only way to get through life. And it's not about being trans, but all of us, like we all face adversity in our own way, and sometimes not hardship, and the only way to kind of get through hardship and adversity is to like kind of take a positive from it and be like, well, at least I learned this. So I was like, well, do you know what, I'll like start this campaign, and like if I can like make some allies and like, I don't know, use my bad experience for good, then at least I can kind of like go to sleep at night, sort of thing. So it kind of started off almost selfishly, like I just want to take some good from my bad experience. And I just was like, I was having these conversations in my kind of personal life with like family and friends, like explaining like the trans thing, because a lot of my friends didn't understand maybe and stuff, and they were actually quite honest, like, oh, I was kind of transphobic until I knew you were trans and stuff, and like just saying the wrong things and stuff. And like I saw how powerful conversation is, and like just like getting to know a trans person can really change a person's mind about trans people, and that again applies to everything. It can apply to people of color, Muslims, like, do you know what I mean? Just getting to know someone from a intersection of society that like you never met before can really change your mind. And I was like, this is really powerful. So though I do nails, really the nails are just like a catalyst for conversation, and like it's all about conversation for me, and it's about like the nails are just a way of engaging people in that conversation who wouldn't normally be engaged. So I guess it kind of came from like processing my own rage.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Thank you. Can I have that in writing for my CV?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like that.
You got this. I think conversation is key. And I think like real conversation, like it's so nice to be sitting here with you, like talking, you know, fighting the good fight and having a good chat, and we can come to some conclusions together. Because I feel like we're often shouting into a pit of online, which isn't all bad. I'm a bit scared of the internet, if I'm honest, but I use it like everyone else. But I wonder how we can use the internet for good. Jenny, do you have any tips?
Yeah, massively. So basically, when I started the whole mothers meeting thing 7 years ago, I got a bit depressed, to be honest. I didn't even know that babies didn't sleep at night. I was so naive to the whole motherhood thing. And when I had my son, I was like, where's this bloody receipt? I need to take this baby back. Like, this is not what I thought it was going to be about. And I got a bit depressed, and I thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So it was pre-sort of Instagram, and I think MySpace was just fading away, and Facebook was coming in. Yeah. And I designed a poster, and I wanted to go to see an exhibition. I wanted to use my brain. I wanted to do something that I would have done pre-baby. So I designed a poster to go and see an exhibition at Somerset House, and I just made this blog, put it up on this blog. And I thought, do you know what? I've got to go to the exhibition, like, just in case one other person turns up, because I didn't put a RSVP or a contact detail or anything on there. So I rocked up to Somerset House. I'd washed my hair the night before, which is when you have a baby is quite a big thing. Cleaned my trainers, got there, and I saw a lady wandering around with a buggy, and I just went up to her. I was like, are you here for the mothers meeting? She was like, yeah, you? And I went, yeah. She goes, do you know where it is? I said, here it is. And I was like, put my arm around her, and I was like, come on, babe, it's me and you. And so I basically tricked her into being my friend. So from that day on, I used to just get time out. Oh, I'll go to that exhibition, I'll check out that new cafe. And I used to design a poster for anywhere I wanted to go. And being a member at Soho House came in really handy. So I'd just be like, oh, hi, can I book a table? They're like, how many people? I went, oh, as big as you can do it. And then I'd make a poster, VIP lunch. And so basically, I would just be like guerrilla advertising anywhere that I wanted to go. And that's basically how Mothers Meeting started 7 years ago, and now we've got thousands of members. And basically, how it works as a business is that we work with different brands who want to sort of connect with the network that I've created. Because at the beginning, when I started Mothers Meeting, everyone would say, well, what is it? What is it? Is it a business? And I'd be like, no, it's not a business, because I don't want to charge somebody £5 to come for a walk, you know, or come to an exhibition with me. And it's not really worth making £20. I'm going to sort of cut off the amount of people that come with me. So I'd rather have loads of people and not charge them a £5 or £2 to come with me. And well, oh yeah, and so the question is, the mum world's gone mad online, so I'm not sure, like, all you got to type in is M on Instagram, and it'll be mum, mother, there'll be something to do with mums that comes up. And I think it's amazing, but also I think it's really easy to get absorbed in this online world. And everybody's got an opinion online, but I think to get people offline and to actually have an opinion offline and look at someone in the eyes and tell them, you know, what they're thinking is just like a huge step now. And people find it really hard to sort of like converse with people face to face. It's come to a point where I'm doing an event on the 19th of March about confidence, because people have been coming up to me. I put a post on Instagram about not being able to talk on the phone or having a phone phobia, which I've got. And everyone's like, oh my God, I can't talk on the telephone either. And I think it's like a generational thing where we're all so used to chatting online and being able to say whatever we want. Where when it comes to actually talking to someone, not even face to face, on the phone, that people have got like this huge phobia. So I think getting people offline is just as important as being online.
Yeah. I'm craving a house phone at the moment with a little table and a chair.
Just sitting there having a chat.
Who's going to ring it at home? No one. You guys. Who knows who will ring after I'm walking around topless. Dinny, I'd love to talk to you about age, because it did come up naturally, and it was interesting in terms of the reaction. And like, I am getting to a point in my life, like age 32, where I'm like, actually, wow, like the rhetoric on age is so wrong in terms of just particularly as women, oh, it's bad to get older, or like, you're, you know, all these connotations of becoming older. Whereas actually, like, surely you're like a lot wiser. You've been there, seen it, done it, and you're still beautiful and successful, and you know. So I think aging should be embraced, and I think it could be really exciting if we all decided to do that. I don't know how you feel about that.
I think it depends how you define yourself. So if you're young and you make your money from how you look, and you define yourself as a sexy, beautiful woman only,
Right.
then aging is very hard. But if you, well, I hope I was attractive, and I wanted to be, and I went out into the world thinking I was an attractive woman, but it wasn't all I was, and it certainly, as you grow older, other things become more important, and the most important thing is that you have the vitality, and I think that word is really important, because if you have vitality, you can do anything, and you have vitality, belief, and you love what you do, and you want to achieve something, then there's really no limit to the age that you can start something or carry on your career.
Absolutely.
I think also that the best work forces is a good age group, a determined age group. We have people in their 20s and from their 20s right the way through 30s, 40s. At every kind of age, the company employs people. I've actually in my best, the woman that sells the most jewellery in the company, she's now in her late 60s.
Amazing.
And she's still with us, and she's sold, I think, over £10 million worth of jewellery alone. And we all worship the ground that she walks on. So...
also the best parties.
So we shouldn't think about it too
are
much.
put together with different sorts of people, and that includes age, definitely. So.
The only thing I don't like is going on Instagram because I can't do the selfie. I don't know.
Let's talk about this behind the scenes.
What do I do? Oh God.
No, it was interesting. I'm doing the Seven Dials Instagram tonight. I'm doing a takeover. And I said to Dinny, okay, you just need to introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are, what you do. And I pressed start on the Instagram story, and she just goes, hello, Olivia. God. No, let's do this again. You're good. You got there.
In the end, yeah. But then I thought I bragged.
No, you did really well. Really well.
I think bragging is good, though, right? I spoke to Karen Brady earlier, who was a phenomenal force. So if you've never come across her in terms of like in real life, she's as kind of amazing as she comes across, like super smart, super just inspiring. And she gave us some tips as to how to get a pay rise. Yeah, and she said that your specialist subject should be yourself. Like you need to like go in and brag, and you need to be directional and sort of give a presentation as to why you deserve, a pay rise, even in amongst the landscape of pay freezing. You can have a special case, and that's you. And I just thought that was really helpful advice. I mean, has anyone else like managed to like get exactly what they want in a meeting before? Have you got any tips? Anyone? Have you persuaded them? Yeah.
I think people can see through, certain bullshit from a mile off. It's like when people come and talk at one of my events, they're always like, what should I talk about? And I'm just like, just talk from your heart and be honest, because you're being invited along for a reason, because you're you, and pretending to be anybody else is a bit crap. And I think you could only...
Exhausting.
It's exhausting, and you can only do it for so long.
I think women find it hard to place a value on themselves, actually. I think that is hard. And I think that it almost sounds crass to a lot of women. But I think they need to. I think women need to evaluate themselves within the industry that they work in, or the company that they work in. And it's very important to understand who you are and the role you've got within that company, how much you're contributing to it, how hard it... I'm giving my girls ideas here. How hard it is. I mean, if you're irreplaceable, are you irreplaceable? Because it could come over as being very arrogant if you are replaceable. I shouldn't say that. That's really not PC. But some people are replaceable and some people aren't. But you should know if you're not. And I think that self-evaluation is very important, because if you are in a position where you're really, really good at what you do, you should be able to see if you're hard to replace, and then you should be able to ask for more money.
Wow.
With confidence.
Yeah, and you can sing Beyonce whilst you do it.
But not too often.
Oh yeah, okay. That's where I went wrong. So, definitely. Olivia, did you feel like this was going to be like are you sort of living beyond what you expected? Because I always look at my career. I've been sort of doing broadcasting for 10 years, and I get shocked by I'm like, oh my God, like I'm sort of living beyond my dream and hope. I don't know, but some people kind of are born knowing that they're going to be like.
No, I had no clue. I had absolutely no clue. I had no idea what I wanted to do. You know, at A-levels, you're told that you need to choose what, your A-levels are depending on what job you want. Like, how do you know what job you want when you're 16 or whatever? I had no idea. I then chose the most generic A-levels because I was like, I can do whatever. And then chose to do psychology, and only then did I realise that I was actually quite scientific, because the course that I did was very oriented towards neuroscience. But really I had never found out before that I was any good at science. And so now that, I thought I was going to do one thing for 5 years, I thought I was going to be working in hospitals for the rest of my life, and now I'm doing something completely different. And I started the company in my parents' kitchen, and I was there for just under a year and a half. And I had so many different people coming in and out helping us make crumbles, which was my first product range. And then I moved to my flat, and I was like, I have a flat now that we can work from. And, I was like, I have an office. It's the tiniest, teeniest little living room ever, but it's an office, and it was the most exciting thing. And then last year we moved into an actual office, which was a 600 square foot space, which again, like at that moment, if you scroll back through my Instagram, there's me like on Boomerang jumping up and down. So excited, I just couldn't believe it. There was enough space for 8 people there. And about 2 weeks ago now, I moved into a space which is definitely big enough for about 50. And I walk in every day and I'm just like, who does this belong to? How is this actually happening? And as the office fills with my team, I'm kind of like, how have I done this? And I see, I go into shops and I see the products on the shelves, and I still have to buy them and scan them and put them through the checkout and be like, the barcode that I bought, the number that I bought. Like, it's kind of like you still can't fully believe it. And you see on Instagram people eating your product, tagging you, saying, I love this. It's the most fulfilling feeling. And yeah, every single day I'm just kind of like living a dream, and I never had expected to be here. And I just feel very lucky because I wake up every day excited.
That's so cool. And I think it's something that we can give to maybe the younger generation of women, just to say to them, like, you can be whoever you want to be, regardless of your gender, regardless of your ethnicity. Because again, like, I just had all these moments where I was like, oh gosh, like, I never have seen like myself represented in the way as to how I feel. So perhaps it's important that we let everyone know that they can do whatever they want.
And that's why the internet is really powerful as well, because Instagram especially, that's the platform that I use the most. That's where I share my journey, and I think there are lots of people who have been following for 3 years, who saw me starting in my parents' kitchen and now have followed, when I have my own factory in this big office. And I think it has hopefully inspired a lot of people to see, you don't have to have business experience, you don't have to have experience in the industry that you're going into. You just have to have a dream, and you have to be determined, and you have to be prepared to work really, really, really hard. And then anything is possible.
Amazing. Charlie, tell me a little bit about, like, you said when you started working with the nails, it was because of like something that was within you. Like, how difficult is it to have like a career in something that's actually very personal, like at this point in time? I'm sure your journey is like, there can be all sorts of things that you do, but at the moment, like, people are talking to you about something which could essentially be seen as quite private.
Yeah, like super private. But I don't know, so it's really fulfilling, but it's also very like emotionally like taxing, because obviously like I'm having really like intense, like not even just like one a day, but like whenever I do an event, I do maybe like, I don't know, say I do like 50 people's nails at that event, that's like 50 intense conversations, like, and I've done this for 5 years, so like that's a lot of conversations to be having and stuff, so it's really... No, good idea.
You need to.
Yeah. Catherine, there you go. Miss Filmmaker. Yeah. But,
You could make an amazing film with all those conversations.
thank you. That's classic. Yeah, I don't know. It's really fulfilling. So like, even though it really is quite emotionally taxing, like I do leave every event feeling like on cloud nine, like, oh, I've sent some like allies out into the world, like knowing that as well, like the conversation I have with them doesn't just end there, but they're like, I don't know, say they're on Facebook and their friend posts like a douchey status like about trans stuff, they might call them out, or say they're with their boyfriend on a bus and their boyfriend's like, oh, that's a tranny, they might call their boyfriend out, or the fact that they just might raise their kids to be like not bigots, like fingers crossed, that's like why I do what I do. So like I think it's about like and also like it's not like my trans friends are like, why do you do what you do? But like for me it's not a thing, because I think it's quite sad, but I've been doing this my whole life, like as an LGBT person. Like I grew up in a council estate, I'm a council estate girl, and like I've always been like having to explain myself and win people over, so like for me it's like second nature, and I don't actually mind it. Like it's quite tiring sometimes if I've had like a hard week, but like generally like it's nothing for me, whereas for other people I think they'd find it really like, I can't do this. Like my other trans friends just couldn't. But like, so I think it's about understanding what you can do for your cause and for your community and doing that. So like, I'm not a traditional activist. Like I'm not all for, like I think it's really important, but like it just standing in the cold of a picket is not for me. I'm sorry, like you do that. I would much rather be sitting in the Victorian Albert Museum in my pop-up nail salon in the walk with a cup of tea and painting some nails, being sponsored by Ilamasca. Like that is much more my gig. So like, it's about understanding like what skills you possess to help your cause, and like understanding that like, yeah, just bring in what you can do to help further your cause, I think.
I think that's a really interesting point, that there is no sort of perfect. If you're an activist,
Yeah.
if you're an activist in your heart, you're an activist.
Yeah.
It's not like, I feel like we are very competitive in terms of like, well, I did this, you know, like, and I started this charity, you know, it's just like, whoa. Like, I think if you live and breathe it, then you just do. Yeah.
I was saying this to the founder of Hey Girls, is that like it doesn't have to be like a race. It can be like a relay race where you're passing the baton on to the other girls. It doesn't have to be, we're all not racing against each other. Just pass the baton on to the next girl and go around in a circle. Like
I think it's really important. Like we have to work together. Like we literally, like we can't achieve it alone, no matter how magnificent you are. And there are lots of magnificent people here, but it has to be done together, and that's where like real change can happen. I'd love to know if anyone has any questions at this point. Go on. Yes, go on.
It's quite specific, but is there a way to volunteer for Hey Girls or to get involved in Hey? Oh, thank you. Is there a way to volunteer in Hey Girls or get involved in it, or is there something that, like as an individual, other than buying the products, we can do to support the cause? Thank you.
Good question.
That's a great question. Just come and see me. We need so much support, really, and we've had phenomenal support. Talking about barcodes, I had no idea that you even needed a barcode on a product. No, you just shop and you do it, and then you think, so just the advice that you need when you start anything. And it's constant. So yeah, just drop us an email at heygirls.co.uk and we'll say yes.
Good one. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Suzanne. I had a question about family, really, in the fact that I have 3 children. The challenges I've faced is more about not when they're very young, is actually when they're now 13 and 22, in keeping a career going, and the challenges you have with a child. And they're actually more demanding when they're older. And these are women's problems that they need to... Oh, sorry. My challenges have always been about sort of reconciling work with dealing with issues that my teenage children have had, because they expect me to be there and my work expects me to be there at the same time. So the question to the panel really is, how have you sort of dealt with those issues with older children and not babies? Babies, to me, were easier.
Oh, well, I haven't got older children, so I can't really
I
answer
do.
that question.
It's a constant challenge. It's a challenge when they're little, and
I think
and you want to be at the school gates. You know, if you run your own business, of course, you can take the baby in a little, you know,
Carrier bag.
Shove the baby shove the baby under
Shoebox.
in a drawer, you know. But you know, once children are their own people, and you want to see them running in the school sports day, and you know, you can lose such a lot. It's a terrible push me pull you. I only had one child. I found that running a business, probably I would have found it very hard to have another child and do what I do. But so having 3 children, all at different stages, it's a constant challenge. And I think that somehow, wouldn't it be great if women could make networks to help each other? You know, certainly when the children are young, I met a lot of women when my son was at reception, and I was a single mother, and had other single mother friends, maybe with 2 or 3 children who worked as well. And so you can build up networks then, but it gets harder, those networks, when you're at secondary school, because you no longer, for some reason, you no longer kind of make the friends with the mothers anymore, because your children are older and they don't need you to sort of, to go around with them to other parents. So it does get harder, and somehow we need to work out a way as women to build bridges, to have roads to each other. I don't know how, but you know, this conversation needs to be had, and we need to keep bringing it up. I mean, start a platform. You know,
one of the things that
I think it gets to a barrier. It's a barrier that women get to, where they go, it's not worth going any higher because it's impacting my personal life, and I think that is a barrier for us moving up another step, because
it's a juggle, and but it's a juggle. But also, there's this financial thing. If you're earning a packet, you can pay for certain. I don't earn a packet, just so you know, but I wish I did. But you can pay for childcare. You could, but you know, if not, it's incredibly hard, and we can only do it by working together. And so let's use the internet for that somehow. You know.
Yeah, I was going to say, we run a business academy, and since starting Mothers Meeting, there's been about 50 women that have connected through our business academy and through our platform, that have gone off and created absolutely amazing businesses, you know, selling baby changing bags in Selfridges, to opening restaurants, there's all sorts of things. And it's those women and all the community of women that we have that make me keep having babies to be part of it. That make me really enthusiastic about what I do. And my mum's always said, oh, you know, you're always all right as long as you're getting women together, or girls together when I was younger. And I'm so passionate about connecting women and seeing women go on to create businesses and build brands and all sorts of things. So if you want to start a business, I advise you come to one of our mothers' meetings. Yeah. Because I'm like, so I know pretty much everyone that comes, and if they've never been before, I'll be looking them up, see who's coming. And one of my first questions is, what star sign are you? So I'll make sure I'll put the Cancerians with the Aries, and you know, I'll be like, oh, you need to meet this person. And it's not just come along and stand in the corner and be on your own. It's really personal, and people are always so happy. I'm not selling it, you don't have to come. But people are always, you know, so thankful that they have come. They're like, oh my God, there's life beyond my full-time job and just being a mum.
It's amazing. And I think reaching out as well, like you just spoke really honestly, saying, you know, no, but it's good. Like, I think that there is a lot of like shame always on women just saying, oh, actually, like, it's seen as sort of weak to say that, or, you know, like that kind of idea of like, yeah, saying I'm knackered, or like the idea of like, oh, I wouldn't get a nanny, or, you know, like what? Like, if you need help, like, you need to speak to your place of employment and try to maybe see whether an understanding can be got to, or, you know, like I've met people recently like who job share, like 2 mums who job share a really high powered role, and I just thought that was amazing. And yeah, like I particularly worry about single parents. I was brought up in a single parent household, and I now know single parents, and I just hope that they ask enough, like if they need the help,
There's a saying about it takes a village to raise a child, and that is so true. You could have like 5 people around you helping you, and I've got family on my road, and I just think, I don't know how people do it with like no help at all, but people see that it's a negative to sort of admit that they're knackered and they're finding things hard to cope with, instead of just being really honest and go, do you know what, I feel really shit today. And I think as soon as you open up, people realise then that, oh, do you know what, I feel shit as well. And it's all right to feel shit, because tomorrow I might feel really good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was thinking that it would be great if big companies had to have creches. You know, if you turned over a certain amount, then you had to have creches, because if a quarter of your workforce is women, then actually it would make financial sense, wouldn't it? But then we also need to work out a way of older children, because you don't want a creche for a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old. So maybe we have to consider all the children we have and all the ages, and that companies should be much, much more involved with the family, period. So that whether you work in a corporate environment or in a creative environment, you band together to work out how you can support each other. But there should be some kind of a more than just a talk. I think it needs to be lobbied. That's the word, isn't it? We need some activists on this.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that there are more and more companies who believe in flexible working hours, and I think that it depends who you work for as well. And it's obvious, but women are going to be more flexible about these kind of things. So I have 2 women who work for me, both who have little babies, and they kind of work and they determine their own working hours. They have flexible working hours. One of them works from 10 to 4, and she's commercial director. So, she makes it happen. I speak to her more than I speak to, I think, any member of my team. I call her, she's not in the office, and you can hear her baby screaming, and I'm like, should I call you back? She's like, no, it's fine. And I think it is to do with who you work for. I feel very, very strongly about getting people in who can work in my company, but who also can have a really successful family life. And so you have to find that right company that understands that you want both, and it is possible, and more people and founders and directors are understanding that, and they're trying to make sure that their employees can achieve that.
Yes, yes.
I just think that as well, it's like when they say, if you want something done, ask a busy person, because when you're busy, you get stuff done because you know you've got to get done by a certain amount of time. And me and Katie worked together, and Katie had her 3rd child. I was pregnant with Sky, and we did this huge event for H&M, and it was like the 2 of us did every single aspect of this event, the catering, the bar, the decor, the whole thing. And we're on the phone to each other going, have you sorted the mics out? Have you sorted this out? And it's like, and I designed from the design to the production, everything. And it's like, since then, we're doing a project for Vauxhall, we've done a project for Organic 2 days ago. And it's just like the amount of shit we get done between us. And we're not, are you stressed? No. Are you sure? We're not really that.
You're all right.
You're not, are you?
Yeah.
Are you? No. You're not. She's amazing. But we're not.
Amazing.
If you think, there could be an office of people doing what we do, really. Yeah. But the amount of stuff that we get done, because we're under that sort of pressure, and we need to get it done in a certain amount of time. So I think when people discard women at doing certain jobs, they're off their head, because we get stuff done.
Something I think is really important to note is that if we, this isn't man-hating, and also, thanks to the guys that came, because you're awesome. It gives me hope that they're, I think it's really important that we do engage men in the conversation at all points in a way that isn't, really, doesn't seem scary, I hope for International Women's Day to be, this next year, but with, more men in the audience, and, we should try and take one thing that from today that we've been inspired by and share it with a man that we know, whether it's in the workplace or in our personal life or family. It's just really, it's a good conversation for us all to have. It just makes us all feel happier, I remember speaking to little boys, and they're just I was like, what does it mean to be a man? And they're like, saying all these really masculine words like strong and a provider. And I was like, how about if we just like became equal and then you wouldn't have to be the provider or the strong one if we all just were a bit of everything? They're like, that would be so much better. Any other questions?
I wanted to ask about the kind of guilt question. I've just very recently reached my 30s, and I feel like in the last maybe like 18 months, and now that it has happened, you know, and the world hasn't fallen apart, but there seems to be a lot of like shoulds, because I've made some choices, you know, about whether it's marriage or not, or babies or not, or career or not. And I've had some really interesting conversations with some close friends today about the very concept of International Women's Day, and like, you know, things like, oh, I can't believe you work such long hours, and other friends are pregnant, etc., etc. And so I feel like this guilt question is something that's really big in my head right now, just feeling, oh, I should be doing, and just how you guys, which you've all clearly made some incredibly empowered choices to achieve what you have achieved, and how you've, if you have experienced that, and if so, how you've kind of dealt with that, really.
I just say stop looking on Instagram.
Yeah.
I've quit it for Lent, actually.
Because I think it's so easy to look at what everyone else is doing, because that can instantly make you feel, oh, I should be doing that, I should be doing that, and just sort of spend some time by yourself thinking about what it is that you want.
Yeah.
First time I went to a shrink, I was saying I should be doing this, and I should be doing that, and actually the word should be gone.
Anyone else get the guilt?
It was quite good.
Sometimes.
Wasn't it?
Good, I like that.
No. Yeah, fair, yeah. Yeah. Love that.
What did you say?
I don't have any guilt.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think just go with the
I-
flow of the universe. Like,
Yeah.
you'll find, like, I think if you're going with the flow of the universe, you never go wrong. And I was going wrong for 21 years for my reasons. So, like, I've made mistakes, but, like, I think once you're going with the flow of the universe or with whatever you believe in, like, it all works and it all flows and everything. If you're meant to have this and this, it will come together. Like, you don't have to choose because it will provide both for you. That's what I believe in anyway.
With a few hurdles along the way.
Oh, yeah. I've had plenty of hurdles. Yeah.
But they make you strong, and they're
Yeah,
all part
yeah.
of the story, aren't they?
Yeah, you can build a brand off them. If it wasn't for transphobia, I wouldn't be here now.
So fabulous.
And if you weren't food intolerant, you wouldn't be here. If I wasn't depressed as a new mum,
Yeah, amen.
what made you start your jury?
What made me? I couldn't think of anything else to do.
You've got to turn those negatives into positive.
Absolutely, and I do think it's like really normal because I totally hear you. I'm turning 33 on the day of your confidence talk, actually. Maybe I should do that for my birthday. Gosh, it's mad. It's so mad, particularly if you're like loads of your mates are having babies. It's like, oh shit, I got out of all of like the relationships because I wasn't happy, but was I supposed to be having a baby? So yeah, I think it's a weird time, and there's a lot of pressure, particularly in an Instagrammable world. And I think just like, no one is perfect. Like, we're not perfect. We just need to just live, you know what I mean? And do our best and be ourselves. Like, be as fabulous as Charlie. And not be guilty about it.
No, oh my God,
we all make
stop.
mistakes, you know?
I've painted myself so bad. I'm actually a really shy, modest person. I'm going to ask my mum, but like, just compared to all you lot, I sound like so horrible.
No, it's really inspiring. It's good. It's really good to hear.
There's just no point being like polite and guilty.
You are
No
polite,
shade.
though.
Oh yeah, I am. I'm a Christian. I go to church every Sunday. But like, it's like it does nothing for. I think once you realise it's doing nothing for you, you just stop it. Like, because no shade to the men in the room. Like men, not all men, but like often men aren't, and it's because we've been conditioned to be polite and to be like, oh, guilty, and it's like, no. Once you realise it's doing nothing for you, I'd be like, no, F-U-C-K this. Like, I'm done being guilty and polite and stuff. I'm just gonna be my baddest self. Yeah.
And having friends of all ages, like, I really enjoy spending time with women who are in their 40s and 50s, because like, you can just sort of be like, oh, what is, and it's just really helpful. And at the same time as well, being friends with younger people too, I just think it makes you feel much more sort of rounded and grounded, because it's a weird life, isn't it? Any other questions?
Would you go down the avenue of freezing your eggs?
Wow, that's a major question.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely I definitely am all for that. Like, I work really hard, so I have no idea when like family or anything like that is going to happen, but I really want to have kids. Like, I'd really like to, and so why not? I can't really think of any reason why I wouldn't. So I would
start
be
a whole gluten-free range for kids then as well. Is that good? Your business
gluten-free eggs. A vegan. Yeah, I don't. So wrong. Scrap that. Yeah, I don't see why not. I'm all for women doing that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it.
I think about it.
I was thinking. Yeah.
The career sometimes doesn't leave any time for romance, marriage, and whatever.
I know.
So if you have a career, presumably you have a career now that's zingy and it's going to take you maybe higher and higher. You don't know whether you're going to have kids.
Yeah. I want to, but I don't know how to, especially like when you haven't got someone else to do it. I was thinking more about sperm banks the other day than I was about freezing my eggs.
There is a possibility now, though, for a woman to be able to freeze her eggs. And they say that the best babies are when you're very young.
Yeah.
So in theory, you could have your eggs frozen when you're 18, 19, 16.
Right. Okay. Wow.
And then
Well, I don't know about
Major.
I'd really passed it.
Yeah.
My
To get it right. Okay. Interesting concept.
Should have done it years ago.
Yeah. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Any other questions? Thank you for that. Thank you. It's a profound thought, but I like it. Hello.
Another one.
I wondered how you guys feel about the difference between discrimination from being a woman from men and discrimination from being a woman from women. Discuss.
I don't hang out with women that discriminate against women, but they're hello little one. Oh.
She hates discrimination.
Yeah. I hear you, sister.
I think there's discrimination from in extremes, really, and so there's discrimination with extremes of feminism as well. You know, where just being a heterosexual middle-class woman is you're not a real feminist, perhaps in some people's eyes, or and I think that you just have to steer clear of people who try to pull the rug from your feet and with extreme views. So I can't see how a woman could hold back another woman unless those views are extremes,
Today I learned about a thing called Queen Bee syndrome, which apparently was like a sort of saying like about 10, 15 years ago for if you get to a higher position particularly in a corporate space, that there was this syndrome kind of invented because it would be seen as like a woman who's got to that space but is going to keep other women down and their own position top. And I think that is almost a bit of an older opinion because like in terms of like that's a sort of dated kind of saying of the Queen Bee syndrome, because I feel like there is a change here and I feel like people are starting to just reach out a bit more, but obviously some women aren't ready to do that, which is a shame. It's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah. I just to ask, I was asked to bring a man to a meeting with me recently so that our client can have more confidence in my ability.
Was it a woman that asked you to do that?
Oh, really?
Asked me to do that. So that's why I asked that question. I'm just interested to see.
Yeah.
It's constantly surprising.
Did you call her out?
She asked me if I was offended and I said no because I was so filled with rage. I knew if I said yes, it wasn't going to end well.
Yeah. Maybe you should send her an email now.
Yeah.
Now you've had some time to think about it.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Equal pay for women's
One-
Yes.
There's one.
Yeah.
and the BBC,
Yeah.
media, everywhere.
Yeah. Yes. Underline. Yeah. I would love that. It would be really nice, wouldn't it?
What do you think the future is going to be for this whole big wave of feminism that's happened in the last 5 years? What's going to happen next? It's obviously everything's got really loud and noisy and superb. But where's it going to go?
What do you think, guys? I've got a theory, but I'd be interested to know what you think.
I don't know about your theory.
Oh, well, I just think it's going to be much more about people. Like, I just think that the word feminism it still upsets people, even though I identify with it. It does come with rage attached or connotations of something negative.
It's a bit aggy, isn't it?
Yeah, and which is a shame because I think like fundamentally it just means equality, really. That's it, you know. And like, the amount of men that I have go, oh, can you just talk to me about feminism things? Like, do you believe in equality? Like, yeah, okay, cool. And then you are one. Like, done. It's like this kind of very sort of English way of being very specific about language as well, I find really jarring. But I think we're gonna it's much more about togetherness and it's much more about people, and that is genderless, I think. So I think just accepting just humankind a bit more and the fact that we all make mistakes rather than just calling each other out or like putting someone on a pedestal. I think it's a load of bollocks, to be honest. And I think more kind of real life happenings and like I said, like I'd love this to happen next year with half an audience of men or people that don't even necessarily like, you know, give themselves a gender. Like that is the future to me. I don't know,
The future is not needing International Women's Day.
Yeah, you know, though it's fun, isn't it?
Hello. After reading all the stuff online about today and watching this, I'm just like so empowered to go and do something. Don't know what, something. So what's the best bit of advice all of you have been given, or what's like your mantra, you know, to get you through the tough times?
Just think about what it is that you really love and enjoy. Because I think if you love it that much, you can make a success out of it and make it your life. Like I basically love talking to people and I love bringing people together. I'd love to introduce a load of women together, get them all chatting, and then I'll just go home. And then I feel like I've done my job. So I just love introducing people, which you think, oh, you can't make a business out of that. But actually you can, because I do. So you got to think about what it is you really love. And it doesn't have to be cooking or, you know, all the really obvious things like making jewellery or, you know, painting nails. Just, you got to try and dig down. And like I always say, just be really honest to yourself.
I think also it's quite good, the idea of mentoring, you know, and it's a fairly new idea, this mentoring idea, that if you do find what it is that you think you want to do, you need to go and find someone to help you and not be scared of that, you know, because actually, certainly people knocking on my door who actually email me on my, you know, I get emails saying, how do I do that? I'll answer that. But people don't think that you will. I mean, it would be difficult if you've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds a day, which I don't. But I think ask. I think if you find you really want to do something, find someone who's already doing it and ask advice. And generally, people are happy to give it and want to help. So that's a good start.
What do you like doing?
I'm currently in event management. So
do you like it though?
Eventing. Yeah.
But what do you really like?
Watching people have fun due to something I've planned, and as my friend will tell you, I am a massive organizer.
There you go.
I would plan plan everything to the last minute, so something like that.
Amazing.
Do it.
Yeah, there's definitely people that hate organising.
Oh my God, yeah, God. yeah, please help. Yeah, mentoring.
This client.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If anyone wants to invest in the company, I can pay you. I think mentoring is really, really key. I found it really helpful to have like specific mentors for specific stuff as well, being like, oh, I'm going to start a business. Like, I started a production company, I was like, don't really know how to. But I think I can do what all these guys are doing, and then like finding a particular mentor that's a business mentor, and you know, like, and actually having that kind of formality to it, it really helps, like, sometimes. You
have to know what your strengths and your weaknesses are. So, like, from the very beginning, I knew what I was good at. Actually, right at the beginning, I thought I was good at everything. So I was like, I can handle this all. And then for the first year, tried to do it all, and then really badly burnt out. And I think the one piece of advice I can say is exactly that. Ask people for help and delegate, because there are people who can do things better than you can, and it's okay to admit that. As the director and founder, it's okay to bring people in or lean on a mentor or find a consultant, whoever that person is, because they can help you, and it's okay to admit that you don't have the answers when someone else might.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. I have two mottos in life. What doesn't kill you make you stronger, Kelly Clarkson. Onwards and upwards.
Yeah.
And I think if you think onwards and upwards, you know, we've all gone through adversity and struggles of life, and just think, you know, onwards, upwards, I can achieve anything, you know, whatever direction you want to take in life, whoever you may be.
I love that. Any more questions? I feel like it's a lovely way to finish it.
I think we should sing Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah! Let's all go to karaoke! I know.
Make it go viral.
I know that there's an opportunity now to drink more. In the lounge room, yes, all of that. And we'll see if we can get a karaoke machine. I wish I could be like, come on, which I can't. But thank you. Yeah, that's what we would make sure, babes, don't worry. Thank you for that, that was really lovely. And I think it does sum it up, really. You know, we can sort of chew the fat, but that's exactly it. It's just like, not always looking back. We can learn from the past, but really it is about what's next. Like, everybody makes mistakes. There is no guru in this, you know, no matter how much money some people are making out of sort of being the one. Like, we're all in this together, and it is onwards and upwards, so thank you for that. And thank you to my panel.
Thank you.
And to all of you guys, cheers. Let's have a glass of wine.